Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. Continuing our look tonight at films with Walter Pidgeon, we next have for you a very ambitious, imposing, and technicolor drama from MGM in 1949 titled That Forsyte Woman, a film based on the first book of the collection of novels by John Galsworthy known as the Forsyte Saga, first published in 1906. None of those books ever having been brought to the screen before. Well, this story is about a woman, played by Greer Garson, living in the Victorian era in London and rebelling against the rigid Victorian convictions that were of the day, in the process capturing the interest of three very intriguing men. One, an aristocrat who becomes her possessive husband, another a rather unconventional artist, and the third a headstrong architect. And prominent in the cast, besides Greer Garson and Walter Pidgeon, is Errol Flynn, on loan out to MGM from Warner Brothers. The first time in the 14 years that Flynn had been under contract to Warner Brothers that they ever loaned him out to another company. And years later, when Greer Garson contributed the foreword to a book about Flynn, she wrote, "Who would ever expect to find Mrs. Miniver with Robin Hood or Madame Curie with Don Juan?" Well, it turns out they adored each other enormously. When Flynn did join the cast of the movie, everybody assumed he'd be playing the unconventional artist in the story, with Walter Pidgeon playing the husband. But in a wonderfully generous gesture towards their visiting star, MGM let Flynn decide which of the three prominent male roles he wanted to play. And to everybody's surprise, he chose to play against type and picked the role of the stuffy husband. He did it, he said later, because he wanted the challenge of playing a role unlike any he'd ever done before. And forever afterwards, he said this part that he plays in That Forsyte Woman was one of his prime favorites. So what we have is Walter Pidgeon playing the artist and Robert Young, the architect. So here from 1949, also with Janet Leigh, a movie directed by Compton Bennett, and with all the sumptuous trappings that MGM was known for giving its most important projects in the 1940s. Here's That Forsyte Woman.